Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So for this week's episode, I wanted to just kind of jump right in. You'll hear my dog walking around, sorry. I just wanted to get right in and start talking about spirit guides because I think it's really important to talk about them. They are everything to me. I talk to them constantly. I rely on them heavily as my mind mentors. So, what are spirit guides? That's a really good question. What are they? Well, the way I define them are like companions. They are soul beings who agreed to support me through this journey called life. I don't know if they were family at one point. I don't know if they're friends at one point. I don't know if we've had any connection outside of being soul family mates. Who knows? Unfortunately, as a human being, I'm not privy to that information, but all I know is that they are with me constantly and they send me messages, and I just kind of take the messages and roll with the punches. So everyone's going to have different experiences with their spirit guides, and not everybody is going to have the same number. I don't even know how many I have. I truly don't. And I don't really care. I just know that they exist and I feel their support. And I think that that's what's most important, is just the faith and trust in knowing that you have someone on the other side who's rooting for you. So it's really about relationships when it comes to your spirit guides and not hierarchy. So you're really in a position to like trust that you have a team member or a teammate or team members who love you, support you, want the best for you, and are literally cheering you on in the stands. Like, this is your journey and they are here for it the whole way. They do not judge you. They do not begrudge you. They do not think you're dumb. They think you're really cute. They do. They think that we're just like sweet little things, and they just know the love that's inside of our hearts. And sometimes I'm sure they're like, oh man, girl, don't do that. But they don't judge you regardless. They know exactly what your next move is because you guys planned this together before you decided to become a human being. So that's just kind of what I define them as and how I define them and who they are to me. So I guess I could say they're like my soul diary because I communicate with them very often and they know all of my nitty-gritty details and all of my highs and all of my lows. So I don't necessarily know when I first like discovered that I had spirit guides. I think I always just kind of knew. So like I said in my last video, I've always been pretty spiritual, just not religious. And although I grew up going to church, I didn't always quite get it, understand it. I didn't understand why I was just rolling with these punches that were just kind of put in front of me, but it always felt kind of skewed. So I could say like more recently, within the last few years, I've been heavily relying upon my spirit guides. So they are people who I talk to and have communion with every night, and I break bread with and am grateful for and adore and love and cherish. And I treat them as if, you know, the love you may have for like your grandmom and you think that she's like the cutest, or your grandpa or someone in your family that you just look at and just when you look at them, you're like, oh, protect them at all costs. Like, that's how I feel about my team. Like, whoever you guys are, protect you at all costs because I love you so much. So how do I know that my guides are with me? Question, right? I receive pulses of confirmation. So when I am sitting and receiving, I will get these mini pulses, and it's like, yes, yes, yes. It's kind of like a blinking light that goes off that I physically feel, and it's like this inside of me. So that's when I know that I'm on the right track, or something is like a yes. It's this little pulse. And then I also will receive internal to external chills. So it's not a shiver, it's not goosebumps. The best way I can describe it is if you've ever had a hot flash. Women get this for sure. Hormonal hot flashes start from within, and then all of a sudden your kneecaps are sweating. Like, it's a full body experience when you have a hot flash. And there's also a mental sensation that comes with said hot flash. So it's very similar for me, except there's no sweating. So it's like I get this full body acknowledgement and kind of chill-esque, goosebump-esque sensation that runs through me. And a lot of times that will also come with words that, so for example, if I'm really doubting myself and I'm having a pity party and I'm confused and I'm crying and I'm doing the whole like, woe is me spiel, my guides will jump in usually and throw words of love at me and tell me things like, well, you know you're not alone. You know you're not alone. You know that we're here. You know that you're loved. And I will receive these things when I'm cycling through these like negative headspaces of like, oh, come on, we've already worked past these things. Don't go there. Like, you know that we love you. We're right here. We're right here. So that's how I kind of receive certain communications from them, just as an example. And then also when I'm getting downloads, it's usually very poetic things that come through, and it's usually like really intense words of love. That's harder to articulate because it's like a deep knowing. It's almost like things are just being like pushed into my brain and I just kind of like agree to it because I just know it's the truth. So that usually comes through like very lyrically and poetically and sing-songy, lovely. It feels like a modern day psalm sometimes, like the book of Psalms. It's just so beautiful the way that I receive some of these messages. So all of that to say that you can get this too. You can connect with your guides too. Anybody can, because every single person has at least one guide who is supporting them through their human journey. So simple ways that you can kind of gently open up this space to communicate with your guides is knowing and understanding and having faith that they exist is number one. Because if you don't believe in them and you doubt them, you're not going to believe any messages that you receive. Your logical brain is going to combat the heart, right? Because your logical brain is going to try to make sense of things that our logical brains aren't meant to understand. So step one is having the true faith and acknowledging that your guides exist. Step two is communicating and trusting that the message is being received, okay? So knowing that they exist and knowing that they're interacting and hearing you, okay? You have to believe that. The way that you communicate with them is, again, going to be unique to you. So whatever makes you feel comfortable. So the way I communicate with them is multiple ways. I say things out loud to them. People think I'm probably talking to myself or I'm nuts, but I say things out loud to them. And I also journal constantly. So I've had diaries my entire life, and I will write to them. I write to God, I write to my future self, I write to my higher self, I write to my guides. So, what do you write to your guides? Sometimes I just treat them like pen pals and I just tell them that I had a crappy day. And sometimes I'll just like think to them, like, oh, I'm so confused and I wish I had clarity on X, Y, and Z. And I wish that, things would work out, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'll just like communicate with them as if they're friends in my brain. So those are just like a couple examples of ways that you can connect with them. You can also just like sit in nature and just sit in silence for a while and just see if you feel anything and just kind of have an openness to your guides. You can also ask for your guides to pop over into a dream. And so your guides aren't going to be in physical form, right? Because our spiritual selves are light bodies. So like there is no like person that's going to show up and like you're going to recognize that it's your guide. Your guide's going to show up in a way that you're going to recognize in general. So for example, I've been asking one of my guides to come to me in a dream just to know that I'm being supported, because I'm a human being and I'm imperfect and I have my doubts sometimes, and this is like, life is really hard. So I have my struggles. So I asked my guide to come to me in a dream and to hug me, right? And that's how I would know that it was my guide. Well, wouldn't you know, my guide came to me in a dream as someone who I know who passed away and crossed over. So it's really like wild, because the person who crossed over and passed away was like a friend's brother of mine. He's not my guide. I'm not friends with him, nothing. But the guide showed themselves to me as someone that I would recognize and knew that they were on the other side. And I did receive my hug and I did receive validation in my dream, and I just knew it. So you can do things like that and it will happen. Or you can ask for physical signs. So I made it something, like most recent sign that I did was ask for a purple feather to be shown to me. A purple feather, okay? Because I'm thinking to myself, it's not an unrealistic thing. It's not like the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Like, I know feathers exist. Purple's gonna be really hard though. And I just kept my mind open, right? So a couple days goes by, nothing, right? A week goes by, nothing. And then I literally say to my guides, like the following week, why haven't I received my purple feather yet? I still haven't received a purple feather. So I ended up going to one of my friend's house, and I wasn't even gonna go into her house at all because she was just gonna use the bathroom really quick and we were gonna go watch fireworks. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just go inside. So I go inside, and as we're getting ready to leave, I looked down at the floor and there was a purple feather, right? So I'm sorry, this to me screams, hey, we hear you. She had no reason to have a purple feather on the floor. It was literally by her door as we were leaving. And this is the exact sign that I was looking for. So this is to me such a gift of love. It just like, it honestly, I cried. I was like, oh, it's just so beautiful. And it just means so much to me. And it just is like confirmation to me that my guides really do hear me. And you can get signs from your guides anytime. So a lot of times my guides will also give me star-shaped objects, and I'll find them on the ground. I didn't bring them up here with me, but I'll post a picture on Instagram of like the purple feather and two of my other star signs that I received. But like, I'll find little miniature stars everywhere all the time. So this is just a few ways that you can connect with your guides. Again, it's going to be different and everyone's going to perceive their guides differently, but you have to trust that you're going to receive the signs. Trust that your guides are with you. Have faith that you're being heard, and have faith that you'll get the messages when you least expect it, but just know that you'll receive them. Because if you start doubting, that's when you start closing the door, right? So you must remain open. You must believe that you're going to receive the sign, and just trust your guides, trust the flow. And I don't mean like keep your eyes open and don't come from a place of desperation, because this isn't a desperate matter, right? You are exactly where you're meant to be, but just trust that it will happen. And be specific with your signs that you're asking for. Make it something that you will not be able to doubt. When you see this sign, there's no chance in hell that it didn't come from your guides, right? Like, just be so set in stone with what you're asking for. Something so surprising for you to see, you know, and not something snarky. I was trying to talk to one of my friends about it, and he was like, oh, well, my guides can show me $1 million. But like, that's not how it works. It's like, yeah, the $1 million would be cool, ha ha ha. But like, this is real life here. Like, this is a beautiful sign of love. $1 million would just be a sign of materialism, but this is just something so beautiful and loving. And you know, you can manifest $1 million if that's what you really need in life, but it's wants versus needs, folks. Wants versus needs. And I needed this, and my guides knew it, and it touched my heart. And I hope that your hearts are open to being touched too. And I just, you know, invite you to co-create with your guides and be open and grounded and loving and communicate and trusting, and things will happen. Magic will happen. So that's pretty much it. This is a little bit shorter. But yeah, your connections are always going to evolve too. Just like with any relationship, things evolve over the years, and you're going to get closer and closer. And then the more you communicate with your guides, the more you'll receive. So start small, and then things will expand on their own, right? So trust the process, trust the flow. And yeah, again, I'm open to any and all communication. So hit me up on YouTube in the comment section, or you can find me on Instagram. I, again, am still very slowly building this thing, but trusting that it will be well received by the right crowd. So yeah, until next week, see you then.